Happy Monday night. Welcome to the Zenny62 on YouTube live stream, or Zenny62 Live as some call it. I'm going to get right to it and talk about the subject matter as my regular viewers and others come in to play. First of all, a number of people have asked me about the GOP tax cut and how it will impact the Oakland Raiders' planned Las Vegas Stadium project, which will have its groundbreaking on the 13th of November. And my response basically is that many people don't know about the current problem with the stadium project. And I will put it in very simple terms. The hotel tax that was approved by the Nevada legislature on October 16th of 2016 and by the Clark County Board of Commissioners 1 month later on November 17th of 2016, and is at 88 1/100ths of 1% of the hotel room rates actually increase, is not producing enough money on a monthly basis to retire a stadium bond debt service set at what is called a LIBOR interest rate. And what is LIBOR? LIBOR is the London Interbank Interest Rate. What is that? Well, last time I checked, it was just a little over 4%. So you would say, Zenny, where's the proof? Well, the proof was and is right at the website of the Las Vegas Stadium Authority as part of the documents presented for the agenda for the November 9th meeting that will be held this week. That's right. So the problem is that July, August, and September room revenues, that data is in. But of those, August and September are below, they're in deficit. That's right, deficit. And in my own analysis of the revenue streams going back over the last 7 months of the reported information, now note 7 months, that's from March to September, I discovered that the average revenue stream was just a hair below the average debt service for a bond at 4.14%. That's right. So it doesn't matter the tax bill. Here's why. They already have a problem. What will the tax bill do? It will simply cause the bond interest rates to be greater. What does that mean? It means that the debt service per month is greater. What does that mean? It means that the revenue that's being brought in from that tax rate will be even more deficient. It won't work. What does that mean? It means that if they decide to let the bonds, and I can't imagine them doing it under the circumstances, but stranger things have happened, the only way they could do it under current conditions, forget the tax bill, okay? Forget the tax bill. The only way they could do it is to go to Clark County and say, would you please pay the difference? This is the stadium, not the stadium authority and the bond underwriters would have to ask this. Would you please pay the difference between the bond debt service required, okay, and the amount of money that we have, which isn't enough? Basically, they're asking for a handout to Clark County. And what has been set up, folks, is exactly what, among others, myself warned would happen last year in an email I wrote to each and every Clark County commissioner and also Las Vegas council members. One council member posted it on his Facebook page. And I wrote it and I sent it on September 9/7/2016. September 7th of 2016. Okay? And I wrote that as a warning. And people said, oh, you're wrong. It's not going to happen. Well, folks, the numbers are coming in. You know what? It's happening right now. So here's where we are. Again, and I need you to pay attention. If you don't understand, just type, I don't understand. The bond has not been released. There is no $750 million that has been officially approved. Only the stadium tax. Okay? And the reason that, you understand that? All right? And the reason why that hasn't been approved is because there's a chain of events that has to take place before that can happen. And it starts with, first things first, the Oakland Raiders absolutely have to, turn over the land that they purchased with Sheldon Adelson's money on the Russell Road land. They have to turn that over by document and by approval to the Las Vegas Stadium Authority. See, if they don't do that, the bond issue can't work. Because the way the bond issue is designed, the bond is actually held by Clark County, all right? And so, because the bond is held by Clark County, it requires, just like any other revenue bond, general obligation bond, it requires, or any bond that has the backing of the general fund of a city or a county or both, like in Oakland, it requires that the government entity own that land. That's required. That's by law, okay? So this has been done this way for many years. So there are ways around it. There's hybrid ways you can skew it, but that's the bottom line. Land has to be owned in that way, okay? Then you can draw out those funds to avoid default. So guess what, folks? Clark County is on the hook. I'm telling you right now, we're not there yet. So it's not a matter of saying, is a deal, or asking the question, is the deal dead? We haven't even gotten to the point where the deal's actually been ignited. And so you have all this misinformation around, put out by people who have Twitter accounts with like 10 followers. Okay. By the way, I have 168,000. And someone picks it up who has, a screen name that really isn't their real name, and they spread that around and it becomes garbage. The latest garbage, for example, was that the groundbreaking was already held when, in point of fact, it's been scheduled for the 13th of November. All right? It hasn't happened yet, folks. And even when it does happen, it's still meaningless. It doesn't mean the deal is intact, let alone the deal is in motion. It means that people are getting together to celebrate the idea of having a stadium at that Russell Road site. It does not mean at all that it's going to happen. And there are a myriad number of problems around this, but what I'm telling you right now is the linchpin problem. This is the problem you need to repeat to others, not anything else. I don't want somebody calling me and saying, oh yeah, well, there's this other problem. No, this is the problem. Because if you say there's this other problem, it means you don't want to understand the techniques of what I'm telling you. And the reason why I'm pushing it this way is because we're at an intellectual crisis like that. I'm not going to go on a rant that takes me off the subject. But if we are Zensters, I expect you to understand, but also ask questions, which is great, because then we have a conversation, which is fantastic. All right? So if you don't want to have that, you can check out now. Bye-bye. But the Zensters, stick around. Here is the point, okay? You can't build, if I say to you, hey, look, I need $100 from you in order to build this, right? And you say, okay, I don't have enough, but I can pay you over the next 2 weeks. And I say, okay, well, look, let's do this. I'll go to this other guy, and they'll give me the $100 up front, and you have to give me the revenue stream, right? That's the idea. But then what if I find out from you, hey, you know what? You can't even afford to give me that $100 over the next 2 weeks. Then that guy is going to say, holy cow, that means you can't afford to give me this. All right? So the deal doesn't happen. But let's say he has another friend that's the mayor of the town. The mayor of the town says, oh, don't worry, I'll give you the difference. That's what's happening. But see, the mayor of the town has to agree to give you the difference. Okay? That's what's going on. And the county of Clark County has to vote to allow that. And we're way down the pipe before that even happens. Because what has to occur right now, hey, thank you for the contribution, Mr. Scott, for the investment. Thank you, Mr. Scott. And Mr. Scott, make sure that you send me a note with your email in it so I can get you your shares, okay? Zenny62 is my email. But I digress. My point is that we're way down the pipe there. And where we have to go next is we have to wait for the raiders and the construction managers and the other parties that are involved to calculate what the real guaranteed maximum cost of the stadium is. How much is it going to cost? Okay. And then that cost has to be double checked, and that cost has to be triple checked. Okay. Now, how long is that going to take? Well, look, we don't have it now. We're already behind. So they want to get it by the end of February. Let's see. I would think maybe by the end of March, but let's think about that. You get the price by the end of March. You got end of March goes into April. You got 1 month to get your act together. 1 month to get all the documents together before that May 16th deadline appears that allows UNLV to say, hey, you guys, time's up. I'm ready to take over the stadium project from you. Gimme. So they petition the government. They have 90 days to do that. Next thing you know, what was the Raiders Stadium is firmly in the hands of UNLV. So think about that. And I want you to think hard about what I'm telling you because of this, okay? The problem is that, and it's a big problem for the Raiders, is that in absolute truth, you're not going to see the stadium project die. And the reason why you're not going to see the stadium project die is because the law has a rider to include UNLV. That's why. So that is not happening. Well, the real fear should be for anybody in Las Vegas is, hey, you know what? The Raiders themselves are pushed out of the project. So all this stuff about is the deal dead or not is the wrong question. The question is, where are the Raiders in completing their obligations to hold on to the project? That's where it is. Because, folks, look, there are legions who wanted UNLV to have a college football upper tier class stadium for a long time. This is the latest attempt. And so if you take time to read the Southern Nevada Tourism and Investment Act, which primarily concerns the stadium, okay, guess what you find? You find there's a bunch of clauses in there, starting past Section 29, that deal with UNLV and basically give UNLV room to roam, room to stall out a negotiation because they know that at a point they can wait out the Raiders, not have that. And what I mean by wait out the Raiders is this: not have the Raiders UNLV joint use agreement signed, not have it reviewed. Figure out some kind of way to stall out the process. It's been a long time, folks. You do realize we're headed into Thanksgiving. We're headed into the holiday season, and there's no UNLV joint use agreement. Okay? None. Okay? None. So, none. So forget your GOP tax deal. That's not it. That's a guess. The GOP tax deal could pass without that provision. That's not the point. The point is, and in fact, it's pointless. It just, for anybody who cares to look at the detail or understand it or doesn't want to just quote something they saw on a media thing, another media thing, all right? The simple fact of the matter is this deal right now has a huge problem. And I repeat, it is not, the stadium tax rate is not producing enough money for the bond issue that's planned for it. Okay? Not enough. Now, I talked with a person who is a top politician in Nevada. That's all I'll say. And this person told me that the stadium consultant who's working on the project, a person I know whose name I will not drop out of respect for him, because this person's under contract with Las Vegas Stadium Authority, knows for a fact, again, knows for a fact that the tax rate is too low. But this person is under contract and doesn't want to lose the contract. I'm being very careful not to say who this is, even to the point of giving away their gender, okay? I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that. Person's got a family to feed. So, but there is this problem, and it's gigantic. And with that, I'll take your questions and comments. And, Barry, hey everybody, hey Barry Lee, hey Jamal. Again, thanks, Mr. Scott. And James McClendon says the $750 million is a mirage, a straight-up illusion. The magic man, who in this case is the Las Vegas Stadium Authority. And Rick Rice says Trump is king. Melvin Lovejoy, hey Melvin, how are you? And thank you for the link the other day. And he says the deal will be dead by the end of this month. Thank you, Trump. Laugh out loud. Jake Scott says, bottom line, hope all is well with you. You've always had the ability to start a fair conversation where people are going to have opinions on both sides, and there's nothing wrong with that. Joshua says, no, it's on life support, Hennessy. Rick Rice says, you called all of this, Zinni. And Rick Rice, thank you very much, because I did. I'm going to toot my horn. And the reason I'm going to toot my horn is because of the level of criticism that I get a whole lot, you know. I did say a whole lot. And James McClendon says, good evening, Zinni. How are you? I'm very well, thank you. And Jacob P., how are you doing? Ground was not broken. The date for groundbreaking is November 13th. Hey, Barry Lee, how are you doing if you're around? Hopefully you are. I don't see Barry Lee. And no, Mr. Marks, it is not the person I'm informing is not anybody that you've named. And I'm not going to acknowledge whether or not it is any person at all. So, Jordan, how are you? And Jordan says, what are the chances the Raiders stay in Oakland? I would say right now they're 50-50. It's a coin flip. And you would say, okay, but here's the point. What are, the main question is, what are the components of that 50-50? In other words, what has to happen for the Raiders to not go? What has to happen is for the Nevada legislature to refuse to increase the stadium hotel tax, to clear up the deficit problem. That's the first thing. And for Clark County, Nevada, to take a vote that they're not going to dip into their general fund to make up for these deficits. And those two actions are down the road, okay? But they're forecastable. So right now you have Steve Sisolak, who is the chair of the Clark County Board of Commissioners. He's, as many of you know, written and heard on this project. And so he is writing this as a linchpin of his effort to run for governor of Nevada. But as I understand it from people who know Nevada politics much better than I do, Adam Laxalt, the Republican, is the frontrunner, even though he's got some ethical challenges. Then you've got Chris Giuliani, who's challenging, Steve Sisolak, okay? And those are the top three gubernatorial challengers right now. So you've got people like Senator Aaron Ford, who rode herd on the installation of the original community benefits agreement, running for Attorney General, the seat that he's a Democrat, the first black Nevada senator to basically be the leader of the Senate. He's now running for Attorney General, okay? So there are a number of people who are politically exposed at different levels with respect to this project. And we've got, hey, go CSU Rams, how are you? And we've got, let's see here. Jack Scott says, I live in Chicago. Season tickets for the Bears. Hope the Raider fans get what they want. The Raiders in Oakland. It's what all fans deserves. And so anyway, but Melvin Lovejoy, not Melvin Lovejoy, thank you. But Jordan Littlefield, that's the answer to your question. It's a 50-50. But it's based on that. And it's really based on that flow. Now, talking about the GOP tax bill, yeah. If the GOP tax bill passes with the NFL provision, then for all practical purposes, because of the gigantic increase in interest rates, I would predict about 9-10% for the bond issue, okay? That would make the project way out of the reach of because of the new bond debt service, way out of the reach of what the stadium tax revenue flow is right now. And the Nevada legislature has no stomach to rewrite the Southern Nevada Tourism Infrastructure Act. None at all. And so we've got Rick Rice says Sisolak wears long-sleeved collared shirts under his Raider jersey. And actually, you know what? His long-sleeve collared shirts are Packers green and yellow and white. Have you noticed that? He's a Green Bay Packers fan. He really is. He's a Green Bay Packers fan who ought to be on this show to withstand direct and searingly hot questions from me and you. You know, if he's that kind of, he wants to run for governor, he needs to come through here. He needs to cross my line. Sisolak, if you want to run for governor of Nevada, you got to cross my line, man. In other words, you have to be on my show. If you can stand the hot light of questioning from me and the Zensters, you deserve to be Nevada governor. If you can't, forget it. Forget it. Maybe I ought to get Laxalt on here. How about that? I'll get Laxalt on here. So, James McClendon says, Zinni, well, how do you see this playing out? To my understanding, Trump is supposed to sign the bill before Thanksgiving. Well, it's signing the bill, that's one thing. But it's, first of all, the bill has to be voted on. And as happens with any bill, it gets altered and changed and amended. So I will tell you this, and I'm just going to throw this out here because part of my crystal ball on this is cloudy, all right? I think it's a 60% chance that provision remains for one reason: the NFL protest. And this has been, and to his political genius, it's a very evil political genius, and we got to call it when it's out there. Donald Trump has screwed the NFL. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Donald Trump has he's really found a way to let the NFL twist in the wind, if you will. This is that issue, because it will kill expansion to Las Vegas as the NFL wanted it. Because, look, how many times have you heard it? And how many times has it been rubbed in my face? Well, gee, the league doesn't want to chase away public money, right? Gee, that's $750 million, right? So all of a sudden, here comes the ultimate poison pill. A brand new tax bill that just so happens to have a provision that takes the takes the candy away from the NFL baby, right? And we have a Republican-led Congress with more than a small number, and I'm being facetious when I say that, of Congress people who are pissed off that the NFL would allow their players to put out a symbol that is anti-American. Let alone, I mean, let's forget the fact that it wasn't the intent. The intent wasn't to disrespect the flag, but it came out that way. Okay? It came out that way. Because it had to do with the national anthem. The national anthem represents what? The United States, Stars and Stripes, and everything else. So the obvious argument, and this is where when you start thinking about it, we start waiting in the fields, right? And we do that thing that Trump wants us to do, which is argue among each other while he's out trying to figure out how to bolster his Russian ties and also how to enrich his companies. That's the other problem people don't talk about, all right? So, I'm going to get to your comments. James McClendon says, Zinni, Sisolak wants to show he would be totally... Sisolak would be totally intimidated on your show with a true line of question you would present. I don't know if he would be intimidated, but I like Steve Sisolak. Let me put it this way. I think he'll make a good governor, but he's got to deal with this issue, all right? And because to me, and I've told Steve this before, Steve Sisolak is an old-line Democrat. He believes in jobs, all right? And that's what he's about, jobs. And I get that from him. But you cannot have jobs at any cost, like integrity, money. You get the idea? You have to keep integrity and money intact. If you don't have the money to do a stadium, don't do it. Have the integrity to admit it. You see what I'm getting at? But that said, I think Steve Sisolak is that old-line Democrat that understands how to make government work for people and fights to put food on the table for the electorate. So there's a lot of things that are good about Steve Sisolak, but there are a lot of things that are good about Christian Giuliani too, in that she's not afraid to speak truth to power to the point where but she is power, right? She has that unique position. She's not afraid to speak truth to power, but she is power. The real test for Commissioner Giuliani would be the degree to which she's willing to go out and just say, hey, you know what? This thing is not working. We need to stop it. Yada, yada, yada. But she only say that to a point because she understands the UNLV option. All right? She knows that. So anyway. Boss, how you doing? Welcome. And Boss is a Republican who hopes that Laxalt beats Sisolak if Christie ain't running. Wink. Big wink. So, we've got Henry Flores. How you doing? Henry Flores says, Zinni, when do you think Forever Oakland will make some noise? It appears they are waiting in the wings and waiting for an opportunity to strike. I don't know, Henry. And I haven't been privy to any conversations about what's going on with Doc Godfather Grizz. And if you recall now, I think it's 3 different occasions where we were supposed to meet and then had to change. And I think, and look, that's because primarily Grizz spent a lot of his time on the issue of the original legal challenge and on the idea that the JPA was going to make the move that it didn't move. And I believe he, for want of a better term, lost some work time, and now he's making up that work time. So he's got to, look, keep a roof over his head, food on the table, girlfriend happy. You get the idea. So I'm not, when I say what I've just said about the schedule, blaming Grizz for anything. I love him like a brother at all, okay? I'm simply explaining that's the situation he's in, and hey, I'm here for him. That's it, okay? Now, but also I'm explaining, I don't know, I've heard there are rumblings about a quote, a something else, unquote, but I don't know what that something else would be. Now, I hope that answers your question, Henry. And Jordan Littlefield says, Kaepernick says about the flag. And yeah, okay, he did, all right? He did say that. And so we've got, and Jordan Littlefield says, he said that he didn't want to honor the flag in an interview. That was 2014. And I say that like that because this is a fluid situation where people change. You have to remember something, Mr. Littlefield and people watching, particularly the younger people. The older people know this, but the Jacob P's of the world and everybody, this is fact. In politics, you're allowed to change your opinion. It's called, some people call it flip-flopping. Others call it getting enlightened. Others refer to it as seeking understanding, okay? So don't be surprised if Kaepernick comes up and says, well, it wasn't exactly about that. I made a compromise. I'm just saying. That could happen, all right? That could happen. There's nothing wrong with that. Hey, Malcontent, how are you? And thank you for, Malcontent is actually a great Oaklander, heavily involved in politics and drinking. So, and you should get together with Balsha Ruler. You guys would have a great time, but I'll be there at the events. Joseph Jones says, Zinni, how can they do groundbreaking in Vegas with no financial support from the Raiders or an army relocation agreement signed? Because you have to understand the nature of a groundbreaking. A groundbreaking is symbolic. All groundbreakings is an expression of marking. It's like, yeah, we're going to do this. Let's all get together, have Raiderettes here. I don't know what they would have, I'm guessing. Have Raiderettes here, Mark Davis over there, a dignitary here, workers over here with hard hats, and we're going to have these people pick up these shovels like this. This is what they're going to do, okay? They're going to, you watch, they're going to have their hats, and Sisolak's going to have his construction hat on, right? And they're going to get up, okay? And they're going to bend over like this, all right? And they're going to have their shovels, and they're going to pitch their shovel in the ground, right? And they're going to, that shovel's going to have dirt in it, and they're going to toss it into either into a box or some other area in front of them, and that's going to be that. And there's going to be a bunch of picture taking and statements, and then it's going to be sent around the country, and then you're going to have a bunch of idiots telling me it's a done deal. And I said it just like that. Okay? A groundbreaking does not mean you signed a contract that says a stadium has to be built. Okay? That's just letting you know. And I'm girding you and warning you for what's going to come. Because after the 13th, and that thing, you're going to hear all kinds of silly stuff coming out. Just do your homework. It's a variation on the statement, do your job, right? Do your homework. And remember your studies. Remember your research. That's it. You hold on. And remember, look at what I've done. Before the deal signed, and a number of you will know this, I said it was a bad deal. I explained why it wouldn't work. I explained the hotel tax wasn't great enough. I've been on it and on and on. Look what's going on. What I said was going to happen is happening. When you know something, and this is a lesson to you, don't do this. Don't bend with the wind or public opinion. Stick your guns. when you know what you know, it doesn't matter if it's 10 people who agree with you, or 100, or 1,000, or 1,000,000. The reverse of that is if the 1,000,000 people who disagree with you, stick your guns anyway. If it's 10 million, still stick your guns. Know your stuff. Because in this environment, there are a lot of people who do this. They bend. And it's amazing they're not dizzy after doing that. Because I got dizzy. Whew. All right. So we've got some interesting conversation here. We've got Boss Really says Republican Angels. And we've got, let's see here. We've got the usual Binsman Boss repartee. And James McClendon says, yeah, we haven't heard from Grizz in a while. I'm sure Bossman can speak to the Forever Oakland movement. Well, he's part of it. And Joseph Jones, I answered the groundbreaking thing, I believe. And Big Rice says Hillary knows about flip-flopping. So does Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the king of flip-flopping. How can you have a guy who in 2000, I don't want to get on a political rant here, I'm just being honest, but he says he's for flag burning and the Confederate flag should, and the Confederate statue should be in a museum in 2015, and now he's against it and you're telling me he's not flip-flopping? Come on. So anyway, getting back to the whole issue here. If we can get a conversation. I have a question. How many people here understand what the bond issue is all about? In other words, if I say, describe how the $750 million bond issue works, can you do it? Yes or no? Just put it, well, yes for Y or no for N. And if I get more no's than yeses, I'll explain it, okay? But I want to understand. The reason why I want to do that, and boss, this is where I've got to ask you to straighten up. And the reason why that is this. I want this to be a conversation, and I want it to be a detailed one. I don't want to be something that's tequila filled or beer filled or whatever. I want to have a solid conversation on how this deal works, okay? Yeah, okay. So that's why I said that. Thanks, all right? So there are a lot of no's here. A lot of no's. A lot of them. And what I want to do is I want to quite literally resist, that popular word again, this time that people have to flame each other online, because it's not nice. And I'll tell you just, in a momentary aside, what brought me to this is seeing my mother cry today over the news that a 17-year-old was shot as part of that Texas tragedy. And what I went through my head was how many times we're hearing about these kind of deaths, and we shouldn't. It's doing, you can't hear about this with such frequency without it doing something to you. And then add that to the layer of incivility we have online. We're quite literally destroying ourselves, quite literally damaging our ability to be nice to each other, or to think about the sanctity of life. So what I want to do here, and I'm asking all of you to participate in doing this, is to stop that. Be nice to each other, ask each other intelligent questions, okay? Make intelligent statements. But the bottom line, that the one thing that all of you have done is you admitted, hey, look, you don't understand the bond issue. And for that, I am going to now give you a demonstration on how it works. And you're gonna like this. So and I say you're gonna like this because it comes with an illustration. And it's a quite a valuable illustration of the lifeblood, the heart of what's caused this problem that I'm talking to you about right now, where the hotel tax is not producing enough revenue. So take Take a ride with me, and yes, you can be intellectual all day long. It takes practice. It's like going to the gym and lifting weights. Here we go. This, folks, is the NFL stadium model, okay? And this is from the SNTIC meeting that was held last year. Now note, it says the public sector contribution, $750 million contribution is funded through a 1% room tax. All right? Note, 1% room tax, not 88 one-hundredths of 1%, 1%. Okay? That's this. All right? Now, what a bond issue is you're retiring this contribution, which is this times plus the interest, which includes the total debt, from 2017 to 52. Now, of these, okay, you only need to 47. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. That's the 30 years, okay? That's the expected revenue, but over that 30 years, they're going to retire the debt, all right? They were expecting just over $50 million in revenue, okay? But get this, in order to fit that, they had to have a debt service that was what? That's about 25% less, or here, okay? So, I want you to look at something. First of all, this is the revenue that they expect to retire this bond issue. And they say 1%. That's why this is high, all right? They never presented a document showing the revenue at 88 one-hundredths of 1%. Only 1%. That's a big difference, folks. A huge difference. Let me show you something. Or, as Blofeld said, is it Blofeld who said this, or was it was Goldfinger and James Bond? Goldfinger and James Bond said, "I will show you." So let me show you this. And first of all, this is and I want to show you where we are. This is the revenue report right here. This is actual hotel tax revenue. Actual. Okay? Look at this. Ding. All right. March. I'm going to make it really easy for you. I'm not going to walk you through all this. The difference between the budget and the actual. We started off with 1.1393 million, right? Look, difference. Then it goes down. And there, look where it is now. Deficit. August deficit here and here. Right? But guess what, folks? This is November 6th going to November 7th. We don't know what the October number was. Woo! We have no idea what the October number was. Woo! And yet, this is doing what? It's going down. You start off with a surplus, okay? And it's going down. It's not that it's in deficit. Now, what is this? Now, you're saying, hey, Zenny, what is this? What I'm showing you, all right, are the actual revenues that are represented here, okay? This is much greater, much greater than this, okay? The chart was a show, was a game, but the reality is worse. But that revenue stream is the stream that's supposed to retire the $750 million plus the interest on that bond. So so Zenny, you say, I still don't understand. So maybe you're asking this question. You say, okay, what is this? You're saying, what is this $750 million? This is the money that's given to the stadium developer to build. This is the public sector contribution to build the stadium. That's what that is. So what happens is that the investment bank that handles the bond gives a $750 million check to the developer. All right. And then this revenue stream retires that, well, bond is a kind of a loan, retires that bond with the interest. You got it? Okay? Okay? So that's what what's happening here. And note, this says it's funded through a 1% room tax. The reason why I'm pushing this point is because I want you to talk with other people about it and understand it. I don't want you to get into the simple mental deal of reporting some headline you read. I want you to not fear to talk about details with respect to this issue. I want you to be an expert. I want you to have enough of a desire to think about this in detail where you find stuff that I didn't consider. That's quite possible. Yeah, I'm trying to make you a Zenster. It doesn't mean you have to think just like, it doesn't mean you have to regurgitate what I say. What I'm talking about is thinking about things. You know? Thinking. That's what I'm talking about. Not being afraid to ask the questions and dig beyond what you're told. Because when you do that and you're confident of your homework and your math, you can stand tall in front of 10 million people. So I hope you see what I'm really trying to get at here, particularly those of you who are in your teens. It's vitally important you understand how to build your self-esteem. And it comes from doing your homework, doing your math, checking, double checking, admitting maybe you're wrong about something, going back and doing it again, and then not afraid to come up to people, make a presentation and say, and basically drive your stake into the ground. And all of you on this who are parents of kids, you know what I'm talking about. It's vital. This is vitally important. It really is vitally important, okay? So, again, this, all right? Public sector contribution that's funded through, they said 1%, but it turned out not to be 1%, okay? Here. All right? So, Octavio, you understand this? I want to make sure that this is crystal to you. Absolutely crystal. Forget everything else. I want you to make sure this is absolutely crystal. All right? Here. Now, these, go back here and see what's going on. All right. I think, can you guys see me? Because there was something about okay, you guys saw it. Okay, it's crystal. Thank you, CSU. It says it's crystal. Awesome. 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 And boss asked me to explain the debt ratio of 1.5. Delighted to do that. And for that, give me one moment. I will, excuse me, as they said in Blazing Saddles, while I whip out my spreadsheet. All right. Here it comes, the spreadsheet. Okay. In office. And it's worthy of a look. More than a look-see. Are you guys getting the picture here? I mean, like, actually seeing me? Because for some reason I have a black screen. I don't know why. I think maybe you can see me? Great. Okay, cool. As long as you all can see me, I'm cool. And so I like that, Baus. Thank you very much. Octavio, hey, love that you went to the game, but I want to focus on this right now. Okay? So we'll do that another time, but if you don't want to stick around, I understand. But I want to focus on this subject right now, and I want everybody to understand it, okay? That includes you, Octavio. So relax and work with me here, because I want this. I want to make a statement here about this, all right? Okay? I know you got to go CSU. I'm talking about Octavio. Okay, now we've got, let's see here. Let's read our bond calculator. Here it is, the debt service calculator. Start recovery. All right. And it is, I don't know why it's going on with that. Okay, it's opening up right now. And once it does open up, I'll turn you back to it. Whoops, save. And here we go. Okay. There's a debt service calculator. Here we go. All right, this is it. This coverage ratio that Baus asked about. The debt coverage ratio is this. Hello. Hello. Here it is. Right here. Okay. The debt coverage ratio, this is the debt, all right, right here. This is the $750 million bond issue. I'll show you what this is, what you're looking at. These are three different areas. This is high debt coverage ratio. I made this last year. Muni bond standard debt coverage ratio, and I call this the SNTIC risky muni bond debt coverage ratio. This is 1.5%. This is 2, and this is 3. This is what the Las Vegas Stadium. This is what the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority uses right here. The high debt coverage ratio of 3. Okay. Now, so we go down here. What you're looking at are these are the number of hotel rooms, Clark County, average room night 126, nights per year 365, occupancy rate of 0.89, nights, and it's not at 90, that's the average. Nights 324.85, and thank you, Federico, for the investment. Total revenue per year 6,661,000,000. The tax rate here is what I calculated as I was testing a 1.4% tax rate, all right? And note, I was testing a 1.4% hotel tax increase versus 88 one-hundredths and 1%. So note that, okay? Or even 1%, all right? So, okay? And that gives us a tax rate revenue here quite high, don't you agree? Okay? So if we go down here, this is the debt coverage ratio at 1.5. What that is this times 1.5. You see the formula here? It says D29. That's D29, which is here. That's D29 right there, right? Times D31. So D29 here times D31 equals this. C29 times C31 is this, all right? And that's revenue needed for bond. Got it? You take the total debt service from the bond, which is the same, right? It's the same. It's the same, right? It's the same. Times 3 gives you this. Times 2 it gives you this. Times 1.5 it gives you this, all right? Okay. So right now there's no problem. Look at this. The surplus, all right? There's no problem. You got surplus or deficit, right? Okay? So you've got revenue needed for the bond. You've got surplus here and surplus, okay? Now, the only time the revenue needed for the bond is here, and you would say, why is it negative here? And the reason it's negative is because, very simply, you've got a very high debt coverage ratio, times 3. So it's going to be in a deficit. But I want you to watch what happens. Watch what happens when I lower the hotel tax from 1.4% to 1%. Watch this, okay? This is what happens. This is why debt coverage ratios is so important. And thank you for asking me to present this, Baus. This is I'm going to set this to 1. Okay, that's 1, right? And I would take this, and I'm going to copy it, paste, right? And then paste it again, right? So there we are. Okay, now let's go down and look. Look, ooh, looky there. We got a new deficit. Woo, look at that. See that? Why? What does that? See, look at that. That means that at a debt coverage ratio of 2, all right, we still have a problem. Okay? All right? Okay? Because basically what we have is we have a tax rate that's not bringing enough revenue in to cover the debt times 2. It's negative, all right? That's what that means. So when we have that problem, what do? We say, "Oh, well, let's reduce the debt coverage ratio to 1.5." Yeah. And so if we do that, look what we have. We got a surplus. See how that goes? All right? You see how we just made a bond issue look doable? You understand that? You see the trickery? You want to see some more? Watch this, okay? Watch this. Let's go up and say this, all right? Let's say that we have a situation where we have the debt coverage ratio, but then this, because of this, the interest rate for this is less. If it's less, then you know what happens? This gets even bigger, all right? In terms of the surplus. Okay, but look how thin it is. Look how thin this is. Look how thin this is. It's really thin, right? So maybe somebody goes back and says, "Hey, Zinni, the occupancy rate should be a little different. Let's put it at 90, all right?" So we say it's 0.9, okay? Boom, 0.9, 0.9, right? 0.9, right? Boom, okay? But what do? We made it look rosier. We're saying, oh, there's going to be more people staying in the hotels, right? So what's the outcome? Let's take a look. We had 45 million, now we have 89 million, right? Okay, so it looks even better. But still, this is the debt coverage ratio of 1.5, okay? In other words, what we've done is we've cheated. We've said instead of using the industry standard of 2, where we're here, right? Which means we're not getting enough revenue. What we've done is we turned around and said, okay, we'll lower the bar so we get it, okay? Now, this doesn't mean, by lowering the bar, it doesn't mean at all that we're actually going to get that revenue that's needed. Here's the reason. If we have more money, if we have more money so that we clear this hurdle, we don't have to worry about changes in revenue, fluctuations. The reason why you have a higher debt coverage ratio is to protect yourself from swings in revenue. That's the idea. With lower debt coverage ratio, you have less protection. It's like insurance, okay? It's like insurance. So when you have a lower debt coverage ratio, it's basically like you're saying, oh, you know what? I don't need as much insurance. I'm okay. I mean, really, you do. All right? Do people understand now? Okay. So, hey, Bouse, thanks. Bouse was saying Zinni has called the numbers being off and a terrorist attack. Yeah. And so my point is that in Mr. Medrano, you keep coming here, and I don't know who you really are. That doesn't matter. But what I say to you is you don't understand how to do a bond deficit. You don't understand how to do bond debts, okay? You don't understand how to do spreadsheets. And so the minute you send me an email with your own spreadsheets and your own work, I'll pay attention if it's industry standard. You know, if you follow the rules. You know what I would hope you know what I'm talking about. But I really don't know who you really are. You could be one of the consultants trying to just, throw out some garbage. But my point is, hey, all right? Oh, thanks. Madrano was deleted. Yeah, because he just says stuff. I mean, and it's kind of like, why bother? All right? But I'm not, what I'm trying to explain, particularly to the CSU people, or CSU Rams and others, is that I'm not any smarter than anybody else. I'm just taking time to do the work that other people just don't want to do. This is not information that's hidden. This has been in the possession of the public for some time. The numbers for occupancy rates for Clark County, you can actually download your own bond calculator. And if you just take the amount of time to read a little bit, okay? Now, yeah, I do have a background in urban planning. Yeah, I've done this before for many years. Yeah, I've done it for the Oakland Redevelopment Agency. Okay, so I do have an advantage. I admit that. But what I'm trying to explain is that in this beautiful internet culture we have, you too can do homework, assemble the right argument or an argument, and ask questions and get to a point of understanding. That's the whole point. That's the idea, okay? That's the idea. And what bothers me about the public today is that the public is smarter than the public gives itself credit for. And that's why I'm like this, because everybody is smarter than they give themselves credit for. People really can get this stuff. They really can. Now, those other people out there that are naysaying, I ask you this, why is it so important for you to discourage people from asking questions? Why is it so important for you to cover up the truth? Why is that so important? Okay? I've just showed everybody how you can actually change how a financial plan looks just by its debt coverage ratio. Think of where we would have been if the debt coverage ratio had been at 2. We would have been in the negative, and they would have needed a much higher stadium tax rate. And that gets to the whole interest rate thing, all right? So, as Bouse says, Zinni, everyone wants to be locked in as safe. Do they? I mean, and Jamal Wills says, Zinni, I agree, that's why I invest in your channel. That's why I thank you for that. And Bouse is right, And I don't, Bouse is absolutely right, okay? So my point is that, in Octavio, you say don't hate on that on Las Vegas, but I got to be very honest with you, that's a very unintelligent thing to say. No one is hating on Las Vegas, but what I'm getting after you about is your lack of desire to understand the techniques of what's going on here. It's like you're trying to cloud yourself, and I'm not interested in the reason why. What I'm saying is, for this tonight, stop doing it, okay? You're an investor here, all right? But it doesn't mean that I have to allow that. I want you to think about this thing in a way that you don't want to. You understand? I mean that. If there's something you don't understand, just say, look, I don't understand this. Because that's how we learn. Okay? That's what this is about. That's what this is about. Okay? So, all right. So my point is, and that's my point. So I'm not going to argue with anybody here about whether or not I got it right or wrong. Octavio, if you don't want to stick around, you can go tonight. We'll talk later, okay? But I'm not going to turn this into my conversation about you about this. I'm not going to do it, even if I have to block you tonight. I'm really serious about that. If you can't fall in line, leave or fall in line. That's my request. I want people, okay? And talk to you, I appreciate your supporting what I'm saying, but I want you to understand, like Baus did, he said, explain debt coverage ratio. So I did. Explain something you don't understand. Or if you understand it, talk about it. Talk about it. Look, we'll have many other times to pontificate about this or that or anything, but I want this to be the one time when we change the media picture on this, and I need your help to do it. But in order to do that, I just want you to sweat the details a little bit. We've done that. Okay? And so as Bossy River says, anyhow, August, September kept falling short. October, November, December fall short as well. Break down why. Okay, thank you. I'll do that. And I want to break down why by explaining, by going back to the model that I gave. And this is where occupancy comes in, okay? Occupancy rates are very important. That's here, all right? Now, the tax rate is actually at 88 100ths of 1%. So that should be, which is here. So we have to change that because that's 1%, right? So you have to put 0.8 here like that, okay? And so we change that to that. And that's, you see that? That's what we get. Look at, this is what it gets us in terms of a deficit. It's pretty giant. It's pretty giant, okay? Now, let's see if that's, yeah, because it's the tax rate per year, and that's about what they forecast, 53 million. That's about right. 30 bond years, debt coverage ratio 1.5, revenue needed, surplus deficit, all right? Now, how do we correct that? Occupancy rates. We can keep raising the occupancy rates of the nights, or we can say, let's say that the average room night is 126. Let's bump it up a bit. Maybe it's not that. Okay. Let's increase it to, let's be generous. Let's say it's 130, right? Boom. So we put it in 130, so it's 130. And that changes the picture. Okay? That changes the picture. But we have this revenue, we have this deficit, all right? Now, the best thing for us to do is, if we want something that's presentable, we'll say, oh, okay, go here, got that. And we'll copy this, put that here, okay? Then we'll put that there, okay? Boom, all right? Here. So the only way we could pay for this is this. We would have to keep collecting the revenue beyond the 30-year period. And in point of fact, and in fairness to the Stadium Authority, they don't stop collecting the revenue at 30 years. They go on another 14 years. They go on another 14 years. But they presented a chart that was much bigger in terms of debt service, in terms of total debt size. In terms of total revenue size than debt. The reality is, it's not. So, anyway, let's go back to, and just for the sake of having a surplus here, let's increase the average room rate nights to 100. Let's say the average room rate's 140, okay? Boom. It's $140 a night, average, okay? So where does that put us? We're a little closer. Okay. So let's say it's 145. All right. So we go over here. We put it to 145. This is a little high. So it's at 145. All right. Note the occupancy is at 90%, right? So now we have, we're not quite there. We're getting there. Not quite. Not quite there. So we're going to have to put it to 150. Boom. So 150. It's a big jump, isn't it? Still not quite there. So this is 153. Think about what we're doing here. All right. Then we go down and guess what? There's our surplus. So we've just barely cleared it. All right. Now, okay, what I've just done is I've used numerical trickery in terms of, but it's checkable, all right? Because you can check online and say, okay, what's the average room rate in Las Vegas? It's actually a lot lower than $153 per room night. A lot lower. But this is where but at one point, why did we do this? Because we have a tax rate of 88 100ths and 1%. Remember, we're trying to craft an argument that looks good, right? I'm trying to get you, I'm placing you in the seat of the stadium consultant whose job it was to make these numbers work and why we got into this situation. And then also why the occupancy issue that Baus is referring to is going to come into play. Because right now we're at a surplus, okay? We're assuming 90% occupancy, but we have this tragedy, 1 October, okay? 1 October. Let's see what 1 October might do to this picture right here. And here's what it might do. Let's say it reduces from 90%. Let's say we're at occupancy rate here of 87%, right? 87%. Okay. 87%. Okay. And then we go down and look what we've got. We got a deficit again. Okay. We got a deficit. Now let's take this with the actual numbers that we have, the actual data that we have from the Stadium Authority, right? So we go here, right? These numbers are going south. All right? These revenue numbers. What we don't have are the occupancy rates attached to them. We can get them, and I'm not going to get them now because it takes a little bit more digging. I'll get them next time. But what you don't see the occupancy rates here, and you don't see the average room rates. The real numbers. I'm not talking about the cooked up ones. I'm talking about the real numbers that are driving this problem. Okay? This is only going to get worse after 1 October. Why? Because let me show you what happened when the Paris attacks occurred. So, this is what happened. Paris attacks. Tourism impact. I'm typing into, and you can do this. I'm showing you what I'm doing here, all right? This is Paris attack tourism impact right here. Paris loses 644 million pounds as tourists steer clear of the city after terror attacks. That was last year, okay? All right? Paris tourist numbers dropped due to fears. France's tourism industry has dipped sharply since 130 people were killed in Paris in November. Okay? That's what happened. That is equal That's equal to $843 million in US dollars, excuse me. France and Paris equal the #1 tourist destination in the entire world. Las Vegas is number 6. There's no logical reason why that's not going to happen in Las Vegas. They're not reports, and I'm not saying that Las Vegas is going to lose a convention here or there. No. It's the casual trip. The person that goes to Las Vegas to have fun in summer and everything else. You only need a little reduction. Not a lot. Just a little to make a difference. Note that we went from 90% occupancy to 87%. And what did that cause? It caused us to go from surplus to deficit. Folks, that is all you need. You understand how just a little bit of change, just a little bit. That's why it's really important to sit down and work through this. Just a little bit can impact this, and how Las Vegas is in that situation because of 1 October. All right, so, okay. So we got, I'll get back to your comments. And so, Henry Flores says, Zinni trying to enlighten us, Octavio, yeah, thank boss. I did have to go up to $27 to get it above. And you might see that. You know, you might see, and that's something to watch out for in reality, hotels increasing their prices to make up for a lack of demand. All right? But it also means that somewhere in Vegas you're going to find deals. I'm really interested because I've got to get my application for CES Las Vegas in for press for the 9th straight year. I'm interested to see what the hotel costs are this time around. I really am. And I'm excited about it. And boss says, Zinni, you keep changing numbers and it's still a failed mission at 1.5. Yeah, it is. But see, the reason why I did that, boss, and I'm glad you, thank you for working with me here, okay, is that I want people to understand how a stadium consultant, stadium financial consultant in this case, was forced to fit the numbers in to create an argument, to make it look like the deal could be done, which then set up where we are today with the deficits, the real numbers. That's why I did that. Because it takes a lot, and that's why, and I see that model that I presented to you, I didn't build that last week. I built that last year. That model's a year plus old. It is 1 year and 4 months old, okay? That's how old that, well, excuse me, 1 year and 2 months old. That's how old, wait a minute. This is, I feel like Peter Boyle in Young Frankenstein. This is, it's like, it's 1 year and 4 months old, that spreadsheet. I made it last year when no one, cared to listen. We didn't have a live stream and everything, right? And I made that spreadsheet. Excuse me. So yeah. So boss says, Zinni, I got serious for 10 minutes so I can get it. Now back to foolery. Okay, cool. You know what, boss? That's an equitable trade. Because you work with me, and I God love you for that, and I much appreciate it, and you did, and Rick Rice, and Henry Flores, and everybody else. I appreciate your indulging me. So now, yeah, okay, cool. All right. But you guys get it, all right? Hey, Big Eightful, nice to have you here. And Rick Rice says, the Dolphin Stadium looked pretty empty to me last night, especially for a primetime game. And Frederico said, so $1 hotel tax can actually raise to $3 hotel room tax. No, actually, Frederico, that's a very good question. First of all, the hotel tax it's 88% of 1% of whatever the room rate is, all right? But what you're saying is, you said the hotel tax, but you mean the room rates, okay? Look, the hotel tax with respect to the rate is you have the rate of, let's say, $150 per room night. You multiply 1/100ths of 1% to that to get the tax that you have to pay out of that goes to the stadium. That's how that's done, okay? But the point is, right now, the tax is fixed by law. fixed. It's in the Southern Nevada Tourism and Investment Act. It's fixed. It can only be changed by having it go back to the legislature for a vote, which opens up a huge can of worms because people are going to try to change it to fit their politics, and they could kill it. So, Boss Ruler says, all seriousness, Davis doesn't look well. He's probably stressed out. And Boss Ruler says, and $750 million is capped. Yeah, that's right. There is a public expenditure rule. You can't go over 39% of total cost, for the project, all right? And no, they can't go back to the legislature, although it'll get killed. It'll get killed. And Federico says, I understand. Awesome. Octavio says the stadium was full. He sent a video, which I can show, and I'm happy to show right now that we've gotten through that, period, and out of fairness to my man. But see, you know what I was getting after Octavio about? And I'm going to show you. If you're going to send in a video, you want me to show it, talk into the video, make a vlog, man. Don't just pan it around. You know what I'm talking about. All right, so where is that thing? Here we go. We got center stage with Octavio as soon as this comes into play. Let's see here. It won't scroll for me, will it? Now it scrolls. Come on, man. I don't mean you, I'm talking about this. There it is. All right. Okay. Here we go. Have a look, folks. This is what Octavio sent. Ta-da. There it is. Okay. So we've got, maybe we can do it again here, right? I'm trying to enlarge this thing. There, okay. And there's the world from Octavio's view. Like so. Now I won't move. As I say that. Oh, let me do this. Like that. Oh, well. Anyway. Try it again. Go back there. That's kid, that's cute. It's Octavio with Santa. Is that you, Octavio? Is that looks like Octavio. And I like this. There's Octavio. All right. And that's Octavio's son there. And they've got the neat jerseys, okay? I mean, Octavio, see that? And Mom and everybody else, see that? That's cool. Got the neat jerseys. Oh, that's cute. Raider Nation. Somebody had a great time. Hey, I know who that is. Yeah, I love this photo. Love that photo. And here is, it's supposed to show, well, there it is. I wish it would come into relief and play. Let's just download it. Let me see something here. It's Raider Nation. So there we go, folks. That was looks like a lot of fun by Octavio, and with his family at the Raiders-Dolphins game, the triumphant Raiders-Dolphins game, I should say. So see, I didn't forget. So anyway, so where's Octavio? That was your son? Okay, got it. So see, Octavio, fun times. How were I wish it got a shot of the stadium inside, because I was there for the 2006 Super Bowl the first Super Bowl pitting two African-American head coaches, Tony Dungy for the Colts and Lovie Smith for the Chicago Bears. The torrential rain where Prince performed. Yeah. So, so is Octavio still around? Basha Ruler says LA fans in San Diego was sad. Crawford says at least they got a chant right, unless they, that's true, they did get the chant right. Crawford says Oakland Raider family, Raider Nation. And, you know, I like that. So, yeah, I like that. And, again, thank you all for indulging me with that demonstration, because that, you know, that is the heart of what's happening. It really is. It's the heart of what's happening. All right. Hey, go CSU Rams. I'll see you all. And Rick Gray says, now it was reported the Vegas Stadium would have a permanent roof. I guess they figured the retractable roof was cost too much. Oh, you know, Rick Gray, that's a good, interesting point. That permanent roof, the retractable idea was removed a long time ago. I don't know what you read that stated otherwise, but the permanent roof idea or presentation came about midway of last year, and they changed that to the side doorways, and much along the lines of what Minnesota Vikings new stadium has. And there's a reason for that. The group that built the Vikings stadium is the same one that has been signed on to build the Raiders stadium in Las Vegas. Okay, so that's what's going on. So Basha Ruler says retractable roof was dead when Adelson broke camp. There you go. Actually, even before that. So and Octavia says lots of signs. So how many were the Dolphins fans pissed off with you guys? I'm curious. Were they all like kind of like, what are you all doing, man? Or I mean, were there any fights and that sort of thing? It looks like it was a peaceful affair. I hope it. It looks like you had a great time. So and yeah, when Majestic left. When Majestic left September 13th of 2016. Yeah, that's when they left. But you're right. Originally, it was a tractable discussion. Mike Lowry, how you doing? Mike Lowry is posting something that is different here than what we're talking about. But okay, I think he's saying, Mike Lowry is saying, Baus, I think it's more important to actually support our troops than standing for that song that was written by a racist, which is true, who wanted to see people like you and me used as farm equipment. Mike Lowry telling it like it is. Hey, by the way, speaking of Mike Lowry, I gotta put my man out there. I don't think I've ever actually done this when regarding Mike Lowry. This will be interesting. Hold on a second, folks. Don't go anywhere. Now that school's out for summer. Now that school is out, that's one of my favorite songs. God, doggone it. Where's that? Okay. Now that school is out, Rick Rice says, "Hurry up with Bad Boys 3." All right, this is fun, man. This is like, wait a minute, Mike will get a kick out of this, and boy, you know, it's too bad that Boss wasn't there because he's on his boycott. But this would have been a ton of fun. Michael recognized. I've got a list of Mike Lowry videos here. See that? YouTube Mike Lowry fans, Zenny 60 Coliseum. This is October, the Raiders Chiefs, all right? And this is Nick the Greek, all right? Let's have a look. You've got these images here. If you just Google Mike Lowry Zenny 62, you get all these images. Who's that? See that? You've got Mike Lowry here. Let me open this up. And shoot, skip the ad. Hi,
Monday night fill-in for Doc.
I'm a star now.
Yeah, he's a star now. Mike Lowry. Hey, what do you think about this game? We have 10 minutes, a lot of time, 10 minutes and 21 seconds left. What do you think?
Good game, man. This is definitely a Thursday night football highlight because we know Thursday night football is usually not that good. But we're battling, man. That Bowman pickup, he's pressuring the quarterback. He's doing good today.
Yeah.
We're doing good, man. We're a tipped interception or away from being in the lead right now. That was totally luck. Like Tiger Woods said, luck counts.
Luck
and it
count.
does.
Yeah.
But, we're down, 24 to 30?
30, yeah.
I'm confident.
9 minutes and 43 seconds and counting.
Let's win this game.
Yeah.
I'm always confident about my team. Let's go.
Thanks for starring, man. You did a great job.
Yeah, I'm glad you called me over too. Everybody's been telling me it's a good show, so hey, I'll take it word for it. I was just admitting to Zini, I really never watched myself on camera, but he complimented it so much, so I got to check it out now.
There you go, man.
Yep.
Thanks.
Okay, so this was Mike Lowry and Nick the Greek.
Two great Zini 60 Fest. Mike Lowry and
Nick
the Greek?
Nick the Greek.
Nick the Greek, man. Nick the Greek, thanks a lot, man.
The freak.
Hey, so Mike,
hey, ladies!
There you go, ladies.
Like my boy Marcel Smiley said.
Ladies! That's right. Hey, so Nick, give us I got Mike's view of the game. Give us a view, because you got 2 minutes.
The game is all good. You know, the atmosphere is not the same, Zen. I'm telling you, man. There's something about it. I know it's the Las Vegas situation.
We're about to score, though.
I'm born and raised in Oakland. We're about to score. We're about to win this game.
We're going to win the game.
But it ain't the same. I've been here when we were 1-7 and the place was out of fucking control. It ain't the same.
I think it's because of Thursday night football.
Nick, I'm going to tell you one thing, though.
You know what I think it is, though? I'll tell you what I think it is. I think it's the several thousands of people that have displaced from housing just north of us, many of whom are Raider fans.
Yes.
Who normally would be here. We can't discount that this is a different situation for tens of thousands of people who suffer. So that's what I look at when I look at the stands.
I agree.
Go Raiders, man.
Go Raiders.
Got it. Thanks for watching.
And then I've got the ultimate one. This is the ultimate. So, and let's see here. And Rick Ray, I'll answer your question as soon as I'm finished with the Mike Lowry evidence here. As I say, hold on a second. KC Chiefs, or as one of my viewers call them, the chefs. So you got, here we go. Watch this, folks. Watch this. We've had a number of people. We've got Oakland News. Let's see here. What I'm looking for are more videos. Barrett Signet, Zinni 62. Here we go. All right, this is it right here. This is it.
Hey, Lowry. Hey, what do you guys think of that, man?
Let's go. I told you, it ain't over till it's over. It's not over till it's over.
Hey, Nick the Greek, what I tell you, man?
Come back, baby. Come back.
It's time to
I
put
tell
the
you.
pumped up.
I told him.
Oh boy, that was fun. Wait a minute, there's another one here. This is, let's see here. It was Ray Reunion. We got we got a lot of these. Oh, here we go. Look at this. Right here. Excuse me.
The 2018 Cadillac XT5. Beauty.
It's wild, like 262 fans. Hey, what you think of that win?
Great game. What do you think?
What do you think?
Were you nervous?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He said his stomach was hurt.
Mine too, man. My stomach was like pounding. I couldn't believe it, but we did it, right?
We beat the chefs.
We did it. We beat the chefs.
We haven't beat them since Latavius Swearing got
Right,
that 9
and we did it in white uniforms.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
he's never seen that.
I never seen the Raiders in white uniforms.
Hey, high five. You got it. Man, this is something else. Hey, this is a great game. What do you say?
Yeah, great game. Love it. Right here in Oakland, California, where they belong.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Where they belong.
Yeah.
Thank you. Raiders,
Yeah.
right?
Raiders.
Hey, thanks, guys. Yeah.
Hey, so
Oh, that was fun. All right. Anyway, let me go back to your comments. And I believe Rick Gray had a question. Miss. All right. So, let's see here. Rick Gray was saying, why are they having a groundbreaking of their 1 to 1.5 billion in the red? Who and why is this happening? Because, first of all, and Rick, I'm going to repeat something I guess you weren't around to hear. First of all, this is a situation where no bond has been let. The Raiders still own the land. The Las Vegas Stadium Authority has not taken over the land. And not only that, there are not one, but supposedly 2 tenants for this. The other is UNLV. This is a joint use stadium. So if this thing isn't going to die because of the Raiders, people want this for UNLV. So they're willing to hold on. The way the law is written, if the Raiders don't have their paperwork together, UNLV can take it over May 16th of 2018. So the groundbreaking is a symbolic desire to build the stadium. Watch very carefully who attends the groundbreaking, because there are a number of people who are invited and a number of people who are not. Okay? The governor should open the meeting. I have not seen a tweet from the governor that he's going to do it yet. What you're looking for is the governor. You're looking for senators, Congress people. You're looking for the full complement, right, of people standing tall about the stadium. And you're looking for UNLV with Lynn Jessup and everybody else. And I'm sure they'll be there, but if somebody's out of place, that's to be noted. And they're not going to not come just because, oh, well, we don't have an agreement or whatever. Maybe they had a scheduling conflict, right? You never know. But they're not going to say for the reasons that are really the reasons. But look at who comes. And note, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, and you should be aware of this. Grounds have been broken for all kinds of structures that were never finished. But this is about more than the Raiders. This is about Las Vegas driving this. The politicians have driven it, not the Raiders. They have made it clear that they're in charge, not the Raiders. And if you don't think that bothers the Raiders, look, the Raiders are not known for being honest brokers with anybody. And this could be the ultimate head fake. Just saying. It would be very smart for the Raiders to get out of this while they can. Just saying. Just saying. So there you go. All right. So you've got Bow says, I'm not part of Raven Nation, never have been. Octavio says, don't hate on the nation. Rick Gray says, but this will be a very different kind of stadium than UNLV will take over. How could UNLV afford the stadium by itself? Hey, Rick Gray, have you ever actually read the law? I'm just asking. Have you read it? The Southern Nevada Tourism Infrastructure Act, you read it? Mm-hmm. And it's lengthy, but the Raiders will not. If the Raiders don't have, the developer does not have all the documents necessary, specifically the development agreement done, the joint use agreement with UNLV, that by, it's a specific passage of months after the stadium hotel tax is approved by Clark County, which come to the date of May 16th of 2018. If those documents are not done by then, the UNLV has a 90-day window, within which they can petition the governor of Nevada and or the stadium authority to take over the stadium project. And what is created is something called the Campus Improvement District. That's in the law. All right? So that's there in the law. And what happens is that the hotel tax rate, the subsidy is reduced from $750 million to $500 million, and then UNLV has to raise $200 million on its own. Shell Nadelson can give them that in one swift stroke. So the stadium itself, you would say, why would they, or it's designed for the Raiders, not UNLV. Well, look, it's really important to take time to find the original consulting analysis that was written in 2014 by Hobbs Ong consulting company in Las Vegas, that in 200, along with CSL, Convention Sports and Leisure, in I believe 214 pages outline or explain the market analysis and stadium concept for a UNLV football stadium. And that seminal document formed the basis for what's going on today. It included mention of the stadium expanded for NFL football, including use of hotel tax and everything else. But the UNLV version was only going to be about maximum of capacity 50,000 seats, 45,000 to 50,000 seats. So this is about 15,000 seats bigger, but you can have the same basic design, just smaller, okay? Or you can scrap that design, because what the Raiders would do is say, hey, look, if we're going to walk, we're going to take our design with us because we paid for that. That's us. Donna Webb works for us. They are with us. And you know what they're going to do? If that happens, they're going to take that whole kit and caboodle and bring it to Oakland. Why? Because the Raiders will be in a situation where they have a newly designed stadium that is in search of a home. Why not bring it to the Coliseum, especially since the A's are gone? And that is the potential scenario that is being built as I speak. So there you go. All right? There you go. So what are you guys saying? Yeah, nothing beats the OCO experience. At all. At all. Hey, Alessandro, how are you? Boss Ruler says, I hear you, Octavio, but I haven't went to one game this year and don't watch them like I used to. Rick Rice says, don't matter if UNLV gets a 60,000 seat stadium when only 13,000 seats show up. 13,000 show up. Yeah. But Octavio, there is another equally dire need for a large event center. In fact, that was what this originally was called. It was called the Large Event Center in the law, and it was changed to the stadium. But the reason why it was called a Large Event Center is because right now, Southern Nevada, let alone Las Vegas, doesn't have anything like the Coliseum or Levi's Stadium or anything large enough to host giant concerts, giant events. Consider this, okay? Let's forget football for a moment. Let's think about esports. Did you guys see what happened in Beijing when you had one of the two top video game players in the world competing? They met in a stadium that seats, 80,000 people for a video game contest. I mean, are you listening to me? That's our future, folks. That's our future. That's our future. And Ross says Russell Rose contaminated. Yep. Corvette says leave Mark Davis in Vegas, sell to someone who cares about Oakland. Boss really says Corvette, Larry Ellison. But Baller says, hey, Zinni, if the deal expires in May, can they get a new contract again? If the deal expires, UNLV takes over. That's the way it's written. It's not written for the Raiders to come back in. The deal, it's really important, again, to look up and read the Southern Nevada Tourism and Investment Act. And so Jamal Mills, he says, hey, Zinni, doesn't the NFL still have to provide Vegas with a team when the deal falls through? I think that was read during a meeting. Nope, it does not. No, that vote was about the Raiders. The Raiders would have those rights. But if they can't get going, then they give them up. But no, the NFL owes the NFL owes Las Vegas nothing. Okay, nothing. Mike Lowry says, Rick Gray says, PSLs. How is this used to pay the bill and fund the Raiders' portion of their $200 million? Great question. Great question. And because that is in the Oakland parlance, it works like this: you and 40,000 other fans are buying a right to buy season tickets. The way it works is that your total number of purchases in PSLs, not season tickets, PSLs alone are to equal 200 million. If they don't, if there's that shortfall, now here's where things get weird, because the Raiders have had this song that if it's a shortfall, they'll cover the cost. But if you read the fine print, they're not covering the cost. Clark County is covering the cost. That's right. Clark County is covering the cost. Excuse me. Clark County and with the Raiders, it's actually Clark County, very similar to the Oakland Football Marketing Association that was ran by the city of Oakland, the county of Alameda with the JPA. They were selling the PSLs for the Raiders. Same thing in Las Vegas. The Raiders had managed to bamboozle the Las Vegas people into creating a larger version of the Raiders deal that failed in the Bay Area. Okay? Deja vu all over again. All right? As Boss has noted, it's a conditional approval, not a flat. No, it's not. He's right. He's right. It's conditional. Rick Gray says Mark Bedane gets fired if they don't get the stadium in Vegas. No. He wasn't hired for that. Mike Lowry says, okay, Boss says Bedane didn't deserve promotion. I don't know about that. Octavio Aries says Nerdsville is where the money is. That's why Oakland city municipalities did not make a full push to keep the Raiders. I will say one thing about Mark Bedane, and I was very happy that he became team president, but I was equally sad that Amy Trask was pushed out. In fact, I was beyond sad. I think that's a waste of talent out there to not be, with a football organization or somebody. And maybe things will change for Amy at some point. I hope so. Not that things are bad, but I'm saying because she's done well for the Raiders, and I would think she's squirreled away some money. But Amy Trask was an excellent CEO for the Raiders. She represented the Raider brand, and however, and I would love to have seen Amy Trask in a CEO with Libby Schaff as mayor. I think they would have. I think that the Raiders would have stayed in Oakland. They would have worked out a deal. I really believe they would have worked out a deal. And it would have been a different situation with Amy and Libby than with Mark and Libby, given all that's gone on. And some, allegations of behavior toward Libby that has been, and I've made those allegations, less than respectful on many occasions. Okay? So I'm just saying that. So, Rick Gray says, didn't the Raiders sue Oakland to get out of the PSL deal for the Coliseum now that they're suggesting the same concept for Vegas? No, it wasn't quite the case. The Raiders' suit was about dropping, among other things, it was about dropping the whole, it was part of it, the PSL remarketing. You say, what is that? The original Raider deal had it that after 15 years, the PSLs would be resold. I don't know if I still have that spreadsheet or not, but Ezra had created a spreadsheet that I got a hold of. They gave me a copy of it. And you can calculate the remarketing recapture in the middle. Well, the problem with that is the Raider PSLs are being pitched to fans as lifetime, okay? And you can't say you have a lifetime PSL if you are reselling the PSLs in 15 years. The fans went ape, and so that's what happened there, all right? So, yeah, Tavia says Amy loves Oakland more than Mark. I think you're right about that. I really do. And Bosch says Amy Trask is cool. So, and Crawford says, yeah, Amy loves the Raiders. I need to get Amy on here. I need to work on that before it's too late. Where's John Marks when you need him? I'll work on that too. So other than Amy, what guests would you like to see on this show? Or if I did a live show in Oakland, would you come? A live show. So I'm thinking about doing one. Federico says, just saying Mark Davis steps down as Raider owner, who would fit as a new owner or co-owner? Wow. Amy signed the NDA, so I can't. How do you know she signed the NDA, boss? Octavia says, Zinni, how about them Falcons? Oh, boy. Wow. Falcons have the Cowboys coming. And Rick Gray says, yes. Bowser really says Larry Ellison. Now, you know who I say is, I'll give you a name. I will give you a name. And I will give you, I will give you a name of a person that I think could be the one who basically who could own it. And I'm trying to think of this person. And that's another person I've got to call. I'm just thinking about a lot of stuff here. Let me see here. Steve Jobs, wife. I'll show you what I'm doing. Well, I'll tell you once I've done it. How's that? Oh, that's it. Okay. The person who I think the Raiders should pursue to own the team is this person. You ready? Drum roll, please. Bam. She is Lauren Powell Jobs. That's right. Laureen Powell Jobs. Steve Jobs' wife. That's correct. The billionaire. Excuse me. Sorry about that. A billionaire. Lauren Powell Jobs. Because she wants to own a sports team. She wants to own a sports team. She lives in the Bay Area. She's been looking around for an NBA team to get involved in. Hey, why not the Raiders, or why not an expansion organization in Oakland? Well, my point is that she's one example of a vast number of billionaires in the Bay Area that can get involved in sports. Not just Larry Ellison, but Lauren Powell Jobs. And not only that, she's Apple. How cool would it be to have a stadium fashioned around the Apple brand? I mean, that would be fucking huge. You know? Think about that. That would be incredible. I mean, it would have this ultra-modern design. It would have something like have you seen the circular campus for Apple, right? That unique 21st century spaceship type design that would just put every other stadium in the world to shame. I mean, why not give Apple a chance to do that by having Lauren Powell Jobs involved? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that would be incredible. I mean, incredible. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Lauren Powell Jobs. because she wants to own a team. I haven't heard Larry Ellison lately say he wants to own a team, but she does. Lauren Powell Jobs. Bank it. Rick Gray says, who owns the rest of the Raiders right now? They used to publish the investors in the Bay Area. Let me see if there's an investor, Raider owners. Let's see here. No, Lauren Powell Jobs is the best. In fact, I wonder if Amy could get her. Raiders. Let's see here. I gotta work on getting to sleep here. Hey, thanks, Donis. Oakland Raiders ownership at a glance as of, this was March 18th. Wow. Interesting, they had it as a page error, but guess what? Just find the cached version. And I did, okay? Oakland Raiders ownership at a glance. All right. So the majority owner is Mark Davis. The minority owners are several low-profile investors, but Davis controls the franchise. The source of wealth inherited from his father, Al Davis, who operated the Raiders from 1963 until his passing in 2011. Residence, Oakland, California. Marital status, single. Family, no children. Education, Chico State University. Win purchase team in 4, inherited from father. Franchise valuation, well, this is, now it's at $2.2 billion. Own stadium, no. Which is something else. They won't own the stadium, by the way, in Las Vegas parlance either. But this doesn't list it. I'm looking for a list. Let's see here. Raiders ownership. Raider Worldwide. Let's see here. RaiderFans.com. Let's see here. Looking for, maybe this is the smoking gun in terms of desire. I've got, let's see here. In terms of, it's not opening. This is a very slow to open page. So, what do you guys go to? Let's see here. Well, Raider ownership. Research provided by Colin McGregor. And general partners. Those are old. Chet Soda, 62. Ed McGaugh. Donald F. Blessing, general partner. Blevins, short-term general partners, 60 and 61. Modern era partners. Al Davis, AD Football. Limited partners, Jack Hartman Living, he's limited partner. Arthur Arnold Artie Biscotti from 60 to 67. That partnership is now held by his son, Alan Biscotti. Gene Biscotti's limited partner. Ralph D. Vale, limited partner from 1960 to 1996. The partnership is now held by his widow, Doré. There's Winifred Bill Winkenbach, limited partner from 60 to 1993. His partnership is now held by the GOP LLC Trust, known as Bill the Gill or just Wink. Bill Wickenbach was a millionaire title contractor in Oakland. And they said maybe even more famous than Al Davis. And then they have his interest passed to his widow Gertrude in 93. Miss Wickenbach survived a further 20 years to mid-2013, passing away at 102 years old at San Luis Obispo retirement home. Although she admitted as late as 2009 that she was still a fan and watched games on television sometimes. The estate of Ed McGaugh and Bob Seaman is Bob Seaman, he is a living limited partner since 1992. Robert E. Seaman III is a Massachusetts-based attorney who seems to specialize particularly in real estate. He is also a graduate of Al's alma mater, the Citadel. There's First Football, which is a limited partner from 2008 to present. It's the trading name of the investment group led by David Abrams, director of the Abrams Capital investment firm, Paul Leff, founder of the Perry Corporation money management firm, and Dan Goldring, managing director of Perry Corporation. Paul Leff is the principal of the Raiders investment and appears on the Raiders interest holders list as First Football Paul Leff. He acquired 20% of the Raiders in 2008 from Mr. Davis, Al, and at 20% was confirmed by Amy Trask in 2008. There's Carol Segan Davis, that's Mark's mom. Her ownership stake is held through a number of vehicles. Owner of AD Football, she controls the general partnership. And there's another company called ADF Holdings, created in 2005, which she is also listed as owner of and one of its 2 subsidiaries. She also holds a limited partner take. It is believed that the general partner stake is quite small. The limited partner stake is the bulk of the holding. And this person says that ADF may stand for Allen Davis and Family. The second subsidiary is a holding company rumored to be the vehicle through which Mr. Davis, Al, Sr. purchased the 31.1% stake of the Magaz, selling 20% of it. And he says it extremely likely. All right. Now, there's unknown limited partnership interest. Mark Davis is almost certain that Mark Davis personally owns a very small ownership share, both in AD Football and ADF Holdings, which makes him, once you strip all the corporations away, both a general partner and limited partner in 2 separate capacities. The percentage of ownership held by the general partnership is in isolation is believed to be very small. The personal share is necessary for him to be recognized as an owner under NFL rules. And there's other Davis family interests, and there's secret new investment. Rumors have abounded for years of secret limited partners. Now, if you think that's unusual, no, I had a secret investor in my sports business simulations for some time. In fact, that person was invisible to me. I didn't know who he was until my other investor made that person known. So that's not unusual. Anyway, there you go. Okay, so there you have it. So anyway, oh, boss is shit. Why are you shaking your head about what? What did I do? Let's see here. What? Oh, Ellison told me what? Let's see here. Let's see here. Paul Leff and David Abrams. Yeah, okay, I got that. But here's the thing. I thought it was interesting that there are people that didn't know, and I'm glad I read that, because there are people whose names I've seen in other walks of life in my time who I didn't realize were connected with the Raiders. So now, had I not read that and just read what you boss had put out there, I wouldn't have seen this other name. And I'm not going to explain who that is. So I'm actually glad that I went through that. Just saying, because I didn't know that. All right. So but I scrolled up, and there were 2 people you missed that I have an acquaintanceship with, and I'll leave it at that. Now, so all right. So there. All right, folks, it is 1:51 in the morning out here. 1:51 in the morning. And so I am going to go and have a little bite to eat. And just like I say that, people come in and go off to La La Land. I got to get up and do a lot of things for my mom, though, as well as work. So, folks, those of you who contribute tonight will get your shares. And tomorrow night, Godfather Grizz is in the house at 8:30. I hope. Godfather Grizz. Rick Rice says that Joe Flacco should own the Raiders. You know what? I think players should own teams. But now that I've got my, you know what? Boss just tipped me off something I got to check out. All right, folks. Hey, signing off. You guys are the best. You all rock. Thank you so very much. 2 thumbs up. 4 thumbs. Excuse me, when I say 4 thumbs, yeah, 4 thumbs. 4 fingers and 2 thumbs way up. Woo, 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 woo. Thank you all so very much. Love, peace, and soul. Thank you all. All right. I'll see you all. I'm going to bed. Save your questions for next time. Or send me an email. Love, peace, and soul. You got it. Later.